Currently, our country is going through a pandemic produced by COVID-19, which had affected many of our daily activities, some positively and some negatively. This is why we want to find out how some Colombians go through quarantine. My name is Camila Rivas and that of my colleague Geraldine Escobar. And we will talk about our survey. How do quarantine people pass it?
The survey was carried out 19 people of different age, strata, and series. The results shown below with its respective graph.
The first question was what products do they use to prevent the spread of the virus? All people who responded to this survey are taking safer measures, but they use mud, alcohol, and antibacterial gel, which are important in preventing the spread of COVID-19.
People need to take care of their mental health during quarantine, and for these people have dedicated themselves to different activities. In the survey, we obtained that the activity that they do more is to listen to music, to use social networks, and to make a sport. That is very important to be distracted and to be well these days.
The third question we asked was, have you been economically affected by the pandemic? In this question, we can see that approximately 68% of the people who answered the survey have been affected by the quarantine since many of their income has been frozen since many companies stopped. Also, the trade is static, without stopping. On the other hand, many of the independent workers cannot go out to offer their service.
Continue with the economical level, we have that 79% of the people who answer this question currently don't have any help from the government, making it more difficult for them not to be affected by the pandemic and failing that they have to resort to other income to survive in the midst of quarantine.
Another question asked was what is the food they consume the most in quarantine? With this question, we realized that people prefer to consume food prepared at home. 63% of our respondents since buying food generates an unnecessary expense, in addition to cooking being an activity that helps them to be distracted in quarantine. The other 32% of our respondents prefer to consume fruits, vegetables, and junk food.
One of the advantages that quarantine has brought in some cases is that people can share more time with their families. In the survey, 63% of the people share either a lot of time with their family in the quarantine. This time is to evaluate since it allows them as a family to get much closer and enjoys various games and activities in this quarantine.
Another advantage is that some people have found different talents in this quarantine. In this result, we see that 58% of respondents have found some kind of talent, especially in the kitchen, with a percentage of 32%, which showed that before the pandemic, people were so busy with study or work that they didn't have time to know themselves.
The other question we asked was, how long do they stay in your bed during the day in quarantine? With quarantine, people are attracted to staying in bed longer than usual, as shown in the results, which is worrying according to a study by BBC News, because health gets worse. For example, increased risk of cardiovascular disease, metabolic disorders, and developing diabetes. Additionally, people more weight gain, the brain activity that is important for being active decreases, low mood, and the people who sleep too much and have an illness, according to epidemiological studies, may die prematurely.
Working or studying more than 8 hours is bad for a person's mental health. Yet, only one person passed the limit during this quarantine period, while 84% spent between 3 and 5 hours and 6 to 8 hours, which in the ideal range would say that on the average it should be between 4 and 6 hours in a day.
Finally, we asked about the social networks. Conversations through social networks have increased by 53% during the quarantine, claims Vanguard from a study by Revolt that is consistent with the results obtained in the survey, in which 53% of people respond that the network they use more is WhatsApp, a very beneficial tool to communicate with family and friends during this time.
Conclusion. We can say that due to the quarantine that the country is currently undergoing, some people have been affected due to the fact that many of their income has been frozen. However, not everything is bad. Thanks to the same, many activities have been carried out for the distraction and recreation of people at home.
Thank you.